Hi, this is Ina again, and this is the second part of my journal for boys. In the first part, I showed you how to construct one of these accordion journals and how to do the basic decorating, the gluing it together, the painting it, and so on. And in this part, I will show you what I came up with in a way of signatures and decorations and what it looks like all done. Before I get started, I just wanted to say if you need assistance to sew in signatures or to make little pockets from envelopes or tuck spots, please check out some of my other videos where I covered that, and I will put some of the links in my description box. Now, when I left you last time, just the cover was done. There were two bigger spines and two skinny ones. And the skinny one didn't look like this. The reason is that I had to add a piece of burlap tape to kind of strengthen it. I kind of missed making it strong enough. I used painter's tape and that didn't really work when I start sewing in my signatures. So I used this instead. It is self-adhesive, but I still use some tacky glue to make sure it's really secure, and I clamped it too for the night in this position, and so both the skinny signatures got this little protective cover here, and I distressed this in the same color as I did the rest of the book. So yeah, I quite like the look. I think it fits right in, so it's all right. But of course, if you're smarter than me, then don't use painter's tape for something like that. Use duct tape or something stronger. So let me show you what it looks like. Now, this one is themed cowboys and Indians. I know nowadays a lot of the kids are into something completely different, Star Wars or superheroes, but this is obviously adaptable to whatever your kids or grandkids are into. I think the main thing is I wanted to make something for boys because I think there's not a lot of journals out there for boys. So I think this would be agreeable with boys. So I hope. When we came to the States many years ago, we started collecting these postcards. They're usually available in little mountain resorts, and they have photos of the days, of the pioneer days, the days of the frontier days, and not fancy people, no, famous people. And well, they're just really interesting. They're actual photos, but they're of course reprints, and you get a little glimpse of what life was like in those days. And I was always very fascinated by it. Even as a kid, you know, cowboys and Indians were our heroes. So yeah, and they were always just in a little bag and somewhere in a drawer, so I wanted them to have a home, and that's what I made this for. So have a look. For starters, this is burlap ribbon, and I quite like it. It's very coarse, and I liked even that it's red. It matches a little bit the saddle and the little you know, decorations I put on the cover. It's fairly long because I put it around a couple of times because of the nature of this journal. You know, it wants to open up, and these keep it nice and snug. But as you can see, I put quite a lot in it, and it still closes very nicely, and there's plenty of room to grow. So let's just get started. These are just stickers. I found a set of these stickers actually at the local dollar store, but they just happen to be really nice colors, so I use them. So guitar, a saddle. Alright, and here's a small simple dream catcher. I had this, I think, from a birthday card too, and this is also part of the card where it explains about the dream catcher. Now, most of my signatures are made from just leftover pieces of cardboard. I collected all my browns and my greens and all my craft paper, which looked a bit more boyish and rustic, and so it's an odd combination. It's not a matching set by any means, and I used old envelopes and little bits of leftovers here and there. All through you will see these little images that look like they're sewn on a canvas, and I got those from this wrapping paper here. Just by chance, I happen to have this. I bought this big bag of odds and ends of wrapping paper in a second-hand store, and this was in it, and look, it has a canoe, and has a log cabin, it has snowshoes and bears. So I thought it was just very fitting. So I cut all these little images out, and you will see them throughout. And then someone had just sent me these really nice little leaves. So there are a few of those in here too. Okay, so here's the first postcard. This is what I'm talking about. And I know for many of you, especially the ones living in the States, these are very familiar. So this is Geronimo. And here's my first little envelope corner tug. Then this is a small little tug. And actually this, I have 3 of these in here. Little tugs. And I made them from a backing. I bought a stencil from Tim Holtz. A long one like this. And this was behind it. And I just loved the color of it. And it's nice and sturdy. So I covered the back with a brown paper bag and made 3 little tugs out of them. And I quite like them. A lot of times when you get stencils or anything from craft stores, often the backing is really nice, and I often reuse it for this and that. And all my signatures ended in the middle of the spine, and I use these little stickers at the end of the strings just to make it a little more attractive. They just have little trees and branches on them. There's a little papoose. And this is a piece of carpet actually. It's very thin, but it's very rough and great texture, and I love the color, it matches so nicely. And of course there are plenty of Indians. And I like the brick design here too. There's another spot there. As you see, not all the pockets are filled, because maybe I will get more. And there's a moose, a feather I had, the canoe, an Indian family. And some of my tugs are on the top, some on the bottom, some on the side. I didn't want to make it all the same, so they're all over the place. A couple more nice ones. I like this craft paper too. It looks a little bit like burlap. And this lady, I like some of these old images. It makes you think what life was like in those days, or what her story is. And yeah, I find it interesting. And this is a tug which goes all the way around, and it's only glued at the very bottom, so it gives you plenty of room for the cards. This is my burlap spine. Now the little signature in the smaller spine is a little shorter, only because I ended up using all these different rest pieces. But of course that doesn't at all has to be that way. It's another great postcard, and these are all made out of old envelopes. I actually had this color to start with. An old trading post. And then I made a couple of tugs. This goes together here before. This is just a piece of cardboard in the middle. But this part is made out of a peanut bag from the Texas Roadhouse. It's this nice brown paper bag. So I took 2 bags, I opened them flat and glued them back to back, and then folded them into these tugs. And I like the feel of it and the color, and well, Texas Roadhouse, I thought it was kind of fitting. And I work there once a week on Tuesdays. When they have kids night, I'm their face painter. So yeah, we eat a lot of peanuts. So this is the end of one of the strings. I just slit it open with my X-Acto knife, pulled it through, and secured it with a little piece of double-sided tape. So now this is the end of this side, but of course the way this is constructed with the 5 sections, you can just keep going. You don't have to turn it around or do anything. It just keeps going. It's the endless journal. So here's the boots and a cowboy hat. I think this was taken from the same birthday card. I just mounted it and then left it open so you could put a little tuck in there. And here's another one of those. And I happen to have a couple of these bear paws print, so I thought that looked good. And of course we gotta have Buffalo Bill and Annie Oakley. And as you can see, these are still empty. And a cowboy. And there's another one of those pretty leaves. And this is Calamity Jane. And there's another one, also with a bear paw print. This, I think, these are all taken from the same birthday card, I think. And a couple more. The Pioneer family with their covered wagon. Very cool. And this family in front of their house with a cow on the roof. And here's the other string. There's the string going in to the other side. And then there's another one of the smaller signatures. These are just a couple of rodeo cowboy playing cards. I have no clue where they came from, but they've been around, so they're matched in here. Another one of the peanut bags. And of course, some of the empty spaces can be used for writing or gluing images, or even for making more pockets, whatever is needed. There's another picture of cowboys bedding down for the night out in the open. And yeah, and then this is the end of the book, or, well, this is the beginning of the book. There's really no end or beginning, it just keeps going. And I quite like it. I think it's kind of different, fun, and I think kids would enjoy it too. So, here is my journal for boys all completed, and I hope you enjoyed it. And putting the string on, it is one way of keeping it nice and snug, and it's not hard. There may be a better way, I don't know. You might come up with something better, but it works quite well, and it helps the book keep its shape and stand up nicely. Alright, well, I hope this was fun for you and gave you some new ideas. Thank you so much for coming. Bye bye for now.